Thank you very much for making a date on the marketplace. You're welcome back. Now, financial services provider Bayport Savings and Loans Company has assured of its commitment to providing financial assistance to low-income and informal workers. They made this known at the Ghana Stock Exchange's Facts Behind the Figures series in Accra.
The company presented a summary of its financial statements, comprising of its statements of financial position as at 31st December 2017. It revealed the company's cash flow, statements from the year ended, and a statement of comprehensive summary. Following rising concerns over a possible change in lending markets of microfinance institutions, Managing Director of Bayport Savings and Loans, Ni Ankramantete, assured that his company will remain focused on providing financial assistance to informal and low-income workers.
So for us, our focus is people who typically will not get support when they go into the banks. And that's why we've chosen that particular sector too. Our focus is largely in the payroll sector, in the government spaces where your salary bands are not as large. And even for the groups among them where their salary bands are large, we are able to also support those spaces. For us, our commitment is to stay in this space. We think that there's a role specifically that we play. So if you look at how we underwrite our credit, how we manage our risk on that space, it is focused at the people in this specific space.
The company, among other things, is hoping to raise 300 million Ghana cedis from the capital markets for its loan books.
The Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Kofi Yamwa, has stated that the MTN's decision to list on the local bourse will provide the stock market with good liquidity and at the same time increase the number of retail investors on the market. He was speaking to Joy Business in an interview in Accra.
The service sector in this country is the biggest contributor to GDP. And MTN in the telco sector belongs to the services sector. Within the services sector, the telecom subsector is growing rapidly. Up to today, we don't have the telecom sector represented on the exchange. Ideally, for any exchange, it should be a barometer of major economic activities that go on in a country. So if we have this exchange and we don't have the telecom sector represented, then in the context of being a true reflection of all the major economic activities, we're lacking in that regard. Fortunately, we have the biggest player, the market leader in the telecom subsector, agreeing to join the exchange after its successful offer. So first and foremost, we are excited about that. Number two, MTN is, in my view, a very socially responsible company, and if you have the likes of such companies join the exchange, then you must be excited. Number three, the telecom sector has attracted a large number of Ghanaian subscribers. MTN alone has 7 million plus subscribers. And so if in the course of its offer, we can leverage on that to get a minimum of 1 million subscribers out of the 17 million being retail investors on this market, that will bring us a lot of liquidity post listing of MTN. And it's a lot of excitement.
Meanwhile, Kofi Yamwa says the landmark listing, had described the landmark listing of MTN as a great opportunity for fund managers to channel pension workers' contributions into the companies such as MTN on the stock exchange, which have a proven track record and strong fundamentals.
I also believe that you mentioned the size of the offer. Yes, it's an opportunity for private pension fund managers, not only private pension fund, but also the national public pension institution, the state, to, as it were, demonstrate that, one, this is a company that is very much profitable, and if it is a very much profitable company, then it's an opportunity for private pension funds to invest in it so that at the end of the day, they can count on the fact that they have investment in a reasonably safe company and a very profitable company. So it brings a lot of excitement. You and I are contributing to pension funds, and pension funds in this country need to have various reasonably safe and profitable entities to invest in so that those pension funds can grow and be safe. If the likes of profitable companies, the likes of MTN and the rest, are companies that from time to time come on the exchange, then present a very good avenue for private pension funds and state pension funds to invest and be able to assure their pensioners that their pensions are safe and in reasonably yielding institutions like MTN.
Let's now move on to the petroleum sector now. And President Akufo-Addo has appointed 2 new heads for the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the bulk oil storage transport company BOST. This was after the President announced the dismissal of Paul Asariansa, Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and Alfred Obeng-Boateng as BOST boss. So who are the new heads who would be taking over these institutions? Let's get it from this report.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is taken over by a maritime transport consultant, Michael Luguje Achagwe, who has over 15 years in the maritime transport industry. He joined the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority in Tema in January 1999. He holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in French and Linguistics from the University of Ghana, an MSc in Maritime Affairs from the World Maritime University in Sweden, and an MBA in Project and Strategic Management from the Paris Graduate School of Management, France. Bulk Oil Storage and Transport Company would also be taken over by one George Mensah Oakley. This could just be the beginning, as government sources have confirmed that more changes at the top of some state institutions would be announced soon.
And in another development, Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Senyor Hossi, is lauding government's termination of the appointment of the Managing Director of BOST, Alfred Obeng-Boateng. According to him, BOST has in recent times been incurring losses, a situation he believes does not augur well for the economy. In an interview with Joy Business, Senyor Hossi impressed on the new Managing Director, George Mensah Oakley, to consider the recommendations in the 2017 industry report to serve as a guide.
But I think that we actually have to generally look at our entire appointing mechanism. How do we try and drive a lot more meritocracy in the appointment system? It has to do with all the state-owned enterprises. Now do we objectively evaluate them? So we can have a thriving industry. BOST is a very, very important industry. It is a key institution that can help change the face of this industry in a constructive way. But it has failed to do so for quite a while now. BOST has been an institution that has rather been burdening the taxpayers' pocket, even though we already pay it over about 100 million cedis every year. You know, you still don't get value for it, and it makes more money out of it. It's always been a problem. So I think that BOST needs some rethinking. Government needs to have a thorough rethinking of where BOST should stand in the scheme of the industry. Our 2017 report has submitted some ideas on what the way forward should be for BOST, and position it in a way that it's constructive to industry but not destructive, as it seems to have been in the past few years. You know, it's been racking up losses. The current MD came to meet up losses. We can't tell confidently if more has been accrued, but we've heard about that already happening. But whoever is coming back should come with a very clear mind. You have to come and do a constructive thing. It's not a muchandological space for anybody.
All right, so in this same vein, we're trying to reach the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa, to also give his thoughts about the new development where there's a changeover at BOST and how it would impact on the development in the petroleum downstream sector. As in, when we get through to him, we'll put him online to share those thoughts. Meanwhile, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is impressing on oil marketing companies and bulk distribution companies to consider measures as part of moves to further deregulate the sector. According to the Vice President, there is the need for such an action to help reduce petrol prices and subsequently transport fares in the country at a time when prices are going up consistently. He's been speaking at the second Ghana Petroleum Conference here in Accra.
Implementation was to ensure private sector participation in the provision of downstream infrastructure and in the importation of petroleum products. This was achieved when the BDCs, the bulk distribution companies, were licensed to import petroleum products into the country. The second phase of our progress was price deregulation. This started in July 2015 with the aim of removing government controls in the pricing of petroleum products and allowing the bulk distribution companies and oil marketing companies to set ex-refinery and ex-pump prices respectively. This has brought some level of competition in the pricing of petroleum products in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to take stock of how far we have come. Progress inclines us to do so in order to identify the steps needed to move the industry to the next level. The stock taking should include a comprehensive review of the deregulation policy and its implementation to determine if the intended objectives have been achieved. The review should also focus on the petroleum products pricing formula. This is needed to ensure that areas of the formula that have not yet been deregulated, such as the transportation, infrastructure of petroleum products in all its forms, can be reviewed and deregulated to enhance competitiveness and market efficiency. This, I believe, can lead to a reduction in prices of petroleum products. Ladies and gentlemen, you would agree with me that it is time for the petroleum service providers, especially the BDCs, to develop their capacity to compete favorably with multinational companies and become multinationals in their own right within the sub-region. To this end, I encourage the BDCs to consider consolidating their businesses instead of going solo, and to be able to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange to raise the needed capital to expand their businesses.
On his part, the Energy Minister Boakye Jakun says government's focus on the energy sector is about exploring ready avenues to making the country a petroleum hub. Boakye Jakun says with this new direction, oil and gas will provide another growth pole for the country.
Government is very committed to realizing this vision of making Ghana a petroleum hub. His Excellency the President indicated in his swearing-in speech, we are in a hurry. The numerous policies, projects, and programs launched in the past 19 months since this government assumed office is evident, and the ever-growing investor confidence in Ghana shows that we are making progress. We have been tasked with realizing this vision over a 10-year period. It is my hope that this conference will discuss the various proposals, strategies that will guide our government in shaping the structure and deployment of our infrastructure master plan for the realization of the vision of a sub-regional petroleum hub. My ministry looks forward to the recommendations of this conference.
Away from petroleum now, and two brothers are on a mission to give the country's walkways and buildings an authentic look. They are doing so through the use of granite cobblestones. The Joy Business Van visits Good Heart Quarry and Constructions, started by the brothers a year ago, to learn more about what they are up to. Let's now have a look at the Joy Business Van.
There is just as much gold as there is granite in the country, but granite is least explored. At the North Carnation Industrial Area here in Accra, two brothers are finding use for these granites, turning them into cobblestones for pavements and buildings. There's nothing quite like this in Ghana, and the two brothers, Nana Osei-Aboa and Kweku Osei-Aboa, are paving the way. Nana, an engineer, came up with the idea and got his brother Kweku on board.
This was me sat in a bank dealing with people's monies and millions and all that. And we started projecting what we can do, we started talking about it, and that's where we started the R&D.
Both of them quit their jobs and got trained in making cobblestones from granites. Currently, the most popular form of paving here in Ghana is from concrete blocks. It's expensive and needs replacement every decade or less. What you may not know is that there is granite in abundance here in Ghana. Goodheart mines from multiple locations in the country, including in Sawam and Shai Hills. The granite is then brought to the factory at North Kaneshie, drilled and run through the stone splitting machines. But what is it about the stone that makes it ideal for pavements?
This stone is very, very abundant in Ghana. Gold mineralization is around this type of stone. Now, Ghana is the only country on this globe that has ever had gold added to its name. So if everybody knows we have gold, then automatically we have very high quality granite. But unfortunately, we've not been looking at it. So this is the opportunity I looked at, went through the country and realized if you go across Ghana, we have about half our landmass sitting on granite. The only industry that comes out of granite is crushing to make chippings for concrete work and for road works. So we didn't want to, quote unquote, join the bandwagon because it's very versatile.
The walkways of most European countries are paved with cobblestones and they last for decades, and there are quite some remarkable buildings made from cobblestones. The next challenge was marketing the product here in Ghana.
The journey has been very, very interesting, I must say, because we started from a point of view of you are trying to convince somebody to buy into your business, but your business doesn't exist where you are. So everything we're saying was theoretical, videos, pictures. It wasn't hitting home as much, but one thing we realized is most people that have lived outside or lived in places where cobblestone is available caught onto it immediately. Some of them actually said, the first thing they said was, when I built my house, I looked for this material, I couldn't find it here. So these are all things that helped us and pushed us to be able to know that when we do it, we get market.
The brothers have carried out a number of projects, and the recent one being paving the Lashibi funeral home. It's been a challenging first year, and the brothers have had to invest so much in the startup.
Machines are expensive, they're unique machines, and you need certain specific things to be able to deliver this product, as you see behind us. Now, when you look at any financial model, the biggest part of it is to try and understand how your overheads will be less than what you got coming in as cash inflow. And that is what we've worked on for a few years now. We've looked at it, our pricing is strategically placed so that we can be able to cover our overheads as well as have enough to expand.
As part of plans to expand, Goodheart is seeking support from the One District, One Factory Secretariat. As Nana explains, this has the potential to create jobs and lift many out of poverty and even help in the fight against illegal mining.
90% of people in Galamsey never hold any gold. They go in to carry mud and pick up 20, 30 cedis a day. Now, if these resources are available in those towns, these towns need roads. These towns have teeming unemployed youth. We can tap into the resource which is sitting there already as the stone, add the expertise we have in the machinery, and then create jobs for the people to do jobs of paving within their towns, say communal areas, roads, market centers, lorry stations, etc.
There's also good potential for export. Aside from cobblestones, the brothers are looking into other ways of adding value to granite. What's working for them is teamwork.
We are quite passionate about what we do and we love knowledge. I mean, I can find him at night at 3 a.m. reading stuff on stone, and I get up and say, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, we need to perfect this, and we'll sit down and do it together. So the whole drive, the whole vision, I think we share that vision so perfectly, and it works well.
And to the question of who's the boss on money and the boss on stone.
catch another edition of the Joy Business Fund next Wednesday on Business Live. Now, the total amount of retail payments without cash for last year reached 381 billion cedis. That's according to the latest Bank of Ghana's Payment System Oversight Report. Now, George Wiafe has been going through the report and has joined me to tell us more. Now, George, give me some details about this.
Well, so there are a lot of payments that the Bank of Ghana actually tracks, but this one has to do with those other payments apart from the ones that were done via cash. So these are more of electronic payments, and it shows that indeed it has gone up by over 50% compared to the previous year, to that 300 or 380 something billion Ghana cedis. Now, so what is this report looking at or tracking? It comes to the use of debit cards, the use of checks, the use of e-switch, and all the other forms of payment when it comes to those ones that are done by the retail customers. And it shows that that sector, it's really thriving and it's doing very, very well.
Now, what is the contribution of mobile money to this growth?
It was huge, and we understand that over 98%. So it looks like now more people are kind of accepting mobile money as a means of payment. Culturally, you know that in terms of electronic payment, Ghana wasn't good. Everybody wanted, okay, pay me, bring the money to me. I want to see the money, examine whether it's actually a good currency or it's a fake currency and all those things. But now it appears that people are trusting the electronic system. Pay me something, or I owe mobile money, then I'll send it to you. So it looks like more people are moving towards the mobile money payments. And that is why we've seen that substantial growth when it comes to the retail non-cash payments. Right. Most people are doing mobile money. Don't forget that the last year's report also showed us that in terms of mobile money accounts, we are hitting 2.3 billion Ghana cedis for last year.
Sure. Now, what's the implication on our quest to become a cash-light society?
It looks like it might be more smooth for the Bank of Ghana than we thought, if naturally people are gravitating to that mode of payment. So it looks like our quest to move away from too much cash to less cash in our operations will be realized very, very soon. It may have implications for the economy, the amount of money we spend in printing more Ghana cedis to use, also better tracking the amount of money in circulation, which has impact in trying to contain or manage inflation.
Thank you very much,
Thank
George,
you so much, Yafe,
for that update. And as usual, George Wiafe bringing us up to speed with some developments in the financial sector. And on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for joining me. My name is Emmanuel Obwaji. Have a good afternoon.